Hi everyone, this is Kelly Cahoot and I'm here for Scrappiness.com. Today I have a bright and colorful card to share with you using the Die Cuts and More 2-step layered stencils. I love these. There's so many possibilities with these. The one I'm using today is called Cubicles and they're all 8x8. So these are great whether you're going to use them on a card or mixed media projects or anything like that. So I'm going to do a rainbow design. I'm going to tape this down with some painter's tape. That's a paper towel. I'm just going to rub off the previous color, and I'm starting out with barn door. And I kind of played with these clarity stencil brushes. So there's 4 in the pack, and they are pretty expensive, but I'm using them in the same kind of color family. So the red and the orange, I'm using the same brush. And then I use a different brush for the yellow and green. And then I'll use blue and purple of the same brush. And if you just give it a good wipe down with a paper towel or a cloth, you can go right back into another color and not worry about it transferring. You'll be able to see it here. So the first color was Barn Door, and then this is Spice Marmalade. And as you can see there, none of the barn door is really rubbing off onto or coming back into the design after rubbing it on the towel. So I'm kind of watching how I do my colors here because I want to do a rainbow design. So in some places I want it darker than others. And again, this is a 2-step stencil, so I have to go back in over the top of this. These stencils are so cool. You could just use them, one piece at a time. You could do this and just have colorful stripes or those colorful chevrons there. But I wanted to use these as the whole design, the cubicles. And so I went from the Spice Marmalade into Mustard Seed is the yellow. And then this green here is the Twisted Citron. So if you're wanting to go with a light color, I found, or you want your shade to be lighter, if you just feather the brush back and forth. And if you want it to be darker, I noticed if you'll kind of pounce it on or kind of move your hand down onto the brush, you can kind of be a little more heavy-handed with the color, and it intensifies the color a little easier than if you were just using it to brush back and forth. And then there, when I want it to be a lighter shade of that blue, I'm just lightly brushing it on. So this process I sped up, but the whole card took me less than 30 minutes, and that's using both layers of the stencil. I found that you don't have to go back in, one color after the next to get a good blend. These brushes kind of do all that work for you, so it makes it super easy. So I'm going to go back in and again tape down with painter's tape. This is the top of those little cubicles. And I'm going to do the same thing. So some areas I may make darker than others, some lighter. So this is the Twisted Citron again. And the brushes make it super easy to get right up to the edge on these fine little detailed stencils. And I love it because it keeps your color in the area that you intend it to be. So I could go right down those striped areas with that one color and not have to worry about it bleeding into or getting into the next area because those brushes come to a nice point. So this is the Spice Marmalade again, and the yellow was the Mustard Seed. And then I'm just going to clean that spice marmalade off with the paper towel and use the same brush in the red. I love that you can do that and they clean so easily. You don't have to feel like you need a brush for every color. You can just, stay within the same color family and get great results. Okay, again, I didn't go back over and have to keep going back and forth with the color. The brushes do all the work for you. So I took my heat tool to this because Distress ink seemed to stay a little wet for just a little bit. I wanted it to be good and dry before I trimmed it down and before I stamped on top of it. And I also made sure that I washed my hands really well before I handled that stenciled piece a whole lot. So this stamp is from Neat and Tangled, and it says, "You are my most favorite." And I'm just going to stamp that using my Stampaholic stamping tool with VersaFine Black Onyx ink. I love this Black Onyx ink from VersaFine because it seems to give a really deep, nice, crisp image. So I'm going to ink that up for the first time. And I could have probably left it just with one stamping. As you can see here in just a second, I'm going to run my fingers right over the top. It's a nice impression. I'm going to go over it one more time and make it really nice and deep and crisp and black. And I love the way that that black pops out on that rainbow background. Okay, I have an A2 top folding card base here in just black cardstock. And I'm going to put a little bit of fun foam on the back of that that's cut to just a little bit smaller than the stencil piece. And that's going to pop that off of the card front just a little bit. I'm going to adhere all of that with my ATG gun. And then to finish the card off, I use just a little bit of shimmer spritz. And I love adding the shimmer spritz to my cards. It adds just a little bit of shimmer without being too overpowering. And then I also added some Cat Scrappiness clear droplets. All the supplies for this card can be found at catscrappiness.com. Thank you so much for joining me today, and talk to you next time. Bye-bye!